Hello everybody, today we're going to be cleaning up a fisher skull. As always, first step in cleaning up any kind of a skull is cut off as much of this meat as you can. This is a fairly decent sized fisher skull. The males like this one are quite a bit bigger than the females. Won't take the beetles long to clean this guy up at all, but get all this extra meat cut off of here and just speed it up even more. Remove the tongue. And the male fisher, he's got big chunks of meat on the top of the skull. The females isn't quite as big, but the males have pretty big piece on top there, so get rid of that. This one has quite a bit of the neck still attached to it. There's a big chunk of meat there we can get rid of. Same with all this muscle right in the cheeks. Get rid of a bunch of that. Open that jaw up and you can get a bunch more of it in there. That's probably pretty good. We can obviously keep cutting more and more off this thing, but what we're trying to do is get the big easy pieces off. The beetles will clean up everything else. Just help speed it up so you can get the skull done a little bit faster if you clean up some of this stuff beforehand. So at this point I'm probably going to call it and just let the beetles do their thing with the rest of it. Alright, we'll get the fisher put down in there. We're going to cover it up with cloth. Like that, and it shouldn't take too long for these beetles to get that guy cleaned up. It's been a day, so take a look at this guy. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. Get him up nice, so I'm going to put over here on the rack so beetles can come off of them, and we'll start the degreasing process. So the beetles have had a chance to get off the skull now, so the next step is going to be to degrease this thing. So for that we're just going to put a bunch of Dawn dish soap all over the skull, and then at the same time I usually add a little bit of peroxide into the mix like that. And then we're going to take some boiled water. We're going to completely submerge that skull. You want to make sure flip that skull so the inside fills with water and it sink. Okay, you can see bubbles coming out of it now. That hot water with the soap and peroxide in it is going to start the whitening process, and as well it's going to start taking some of the grease and stuff and oil out of the skull. That's what makes it turn yellow after a while. So important part of the process, so we'll let this guy stay in here for quite a bit. We have to switch the water out once or twice. Fishers aren't usually too greasy, I find. So we'll get this guy totally submerged, leave him for a bit, and then see how it looks when we pull him out. Okay, this fisher's been degreasing for a while. He's looking pretty good. So next step, I just drain the water out of here. I'm just going to rinse it off quick. And then we are going to put some peroxide on this guy to really finish whitening it up. So I like rinsing these guys off after they've been soaking and degreasing for a while, because it kind of gets rid of some of the gunk that might have broken loose during that process. So Get rid of some of the beetles that might still be in there. Like that one. So it's looking pretty good. So we'll get that water drained and then we will put some peroxide on this guy. Alright, you can already see just how much more that skull is whitened as it's drying. That's one thing I always tell people when they're cleaning skulls, when you're rinsing it off all that. If it looks dark still, let it dry and see how it looks once it's dry. Because a lot of times these skulls will whiten up quite a bit as they dry. So peroxide here, I'm just using the 40 volume cream stuff, and I just use a paintbrush. Make sure you get a good coating over that whole entire skull. Try and get some on the inside there too. This stuff works really good because it whitens the skull, and as well it'll break up any little bits and pieces that might still be inside there somewhere that you haven't got out yet. This will do a really good job of kind of breaking that stuff loose and everything. So make sure you get it all over the whole skull. Like that. And we'll leave that for a little bit and we'll come back and check on it and see how it looks. Alright, our fisher has been in peroxide for a little bit, so it's time to rinse that off. So use some boiled water. Make sure you get water in all the nooks and crannies. Pretty good, I think. Rinse off that lower jaw. Okay, we'll get that guy in front of a fan and then we'll see how it looks. Here is our final fisher skull, all cleaned up and whitened, looking really good. This one's actually kind of interesting because you can see this part right here. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but I think it's the sagittal crest. Is actually supposed to be down the center. And this one's very much lopsided. So whether that was due to a deformity or an injury, I'm not entirely sure. You can see the bone right here is broken as well. So kind of thinking it was an injury. It never quite healed properly, but yeah, fairly unique skull. So you never know what you're going to find when you start cleaning up skulls. There's some pretty interesting looking things out there.